Get in the know. Nonstop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Well, he's taking really good care of the ball. I think he's done a really nice job of getting the ball in the right place. His leadership has been a lot better this year. Just the way he's going about his business but not just being to himself, but being around the guys more. I think all those things are important, and he's been really accurate.
You like that? You like that?
Look at that. And you guys sit here and question Zimmer and Cousins' relationship and Cousins' leadership. Can't believe you guys.
Someone
every day on the show.
Lord Kumbaya.
Oh, my God.
You like that? You like that?
All right, welcome into the show. This is Daily Vikings Entertainment, Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company. Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, our executive producer, Declan Goff. And thanks to those of you who are watching on the Purple Daily YouTube channel on a TCL TV. They've got a new lineup of award-winning TVs, the most entertainment with stunning resolution at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. What did you make of those comments? Mike Zimmer was asked by the assembled media, "Hey, what do you think of Kirk through a couple games here?" And he praised. Well, actually, let's roll that back one more time. Let's play that one more time so that we can really dive into it.
Well, he's taking really good care of the ball. I think he's done a really nice job of getting the ball in the right place. His leadership has been a lot better this year. Just the way he's going about his business but not just being to himself, but being around the guys more. I think all those things are important, and he's been really accurate.
Those are complimentary things, but I also hear that and think, oh, so prior to this year, Zimmer thought Cousins was a bad leader and a recluse.
He can't. Mike can't help himself, right? Like it is. He's trying to. That's as far as Mike can go to praise Kirk, and it's just very clear. So, because he basically said, well, before this, he didn't really do much in the locker room, and now he's talking to guys, and this dates to the quote about, I finally sat down and watched film with Kirk. It's more and more evidence to me about where the relationship truly is at, confirmation that when we talk about it in the context that we do, that we're right. Because he's trying to compliment him, but in the same breath, it's sort of a backhanded, but before we never watched film, and he didn't really lead much.
Yeah. Well, on one hand, it is a little concerning that a franchise quarterback with the second highest cap hit in the NFL needed to improve his leadership and communication skills at age 32. So that was one takeaway. But I just want to throw some praise Kirk's direction here, because he's the one that initiated a few weeks back, and you had heard several weeks back he initiated. It actually took a while for Mike to sit down and watch film with him. Mm-hmm. But Kirk's the one that initiated that. He said, all right, I want to build a better relationship here. Mike Zimmer's a pretty smart guy when it comes to film dissection. He knows defenses. I'd like to, would have been nice at some point the last 3 years to tap into this, but I'm going to initiate that. I thought that was great. The fact that he's taken steps in the right direction to get better as a leader and a communicator and connect with teammates. And he's off to a really good start this year. Has he been perfect? No. But he's been pretty damn good, and we'll have as part of our State of the Vikings offense Thursday here on Purple Daily, we'll have 5 telling offensive stats through 2 games, some of them about the passing game. But overall, I give credit to Kirk for the way that he has started the season, the effort he's made to sit down with Mike Zimmer, and no sarcasm, just a straight compliment.
I think the reality of the situation when it involves Kirk Cousins in 2021 is this too. Not being vaccinated, right or wrong, rubbed a lot of people in that building the wrong way. And I think Kirk has gone to try and correct that in different means, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think he's making far more of an effort to be a team guy. And I think he's making and by the way, that's fine. But I think it's driven by the fact probably that he knows that a lot of people were sour about him because he didn't get the vaccine. So if that resulted in this, provided he stays healthy and is not exposed, it might actually work. The problem is that's provided he stays completely healthy and is not exposed to COVID.
Yeah. Somebody found, Where is this? I wonder if I didn't save this.
Oh,
So somebody, when I threw that number out yesterday, that Kirk Cousins currently has the second longest active streak of games with a passer rating above 90.
Mm-hmm.
And it's second. So he's got 16 straight games of a passer rating in those games, 90 or above. The only quarterback to have a higher or a longer streak is Peyton Manning. And it was 23 during his time with the Denver Broncos. And somebody went and found on Twitter the team records in those games, and it's pretty amazing. Peyton Manning, it's like they were 21-2 or something, his teams during that stretch. And then there's another 16-game Peyton Manning stretch also with passer ratings 90 or above, and they were like, some ungodly record. And the Vikings record over the 16 games going back to last year is like a game under 500 or something.
right.
And it opens up the question again of every single day on Twitter or somewhere I see some gaudy Kirk Cousins stat where he's sitting next to Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Pat Mahomes and all these guys, right? But his teams are they're never a disaster, but his teams are always just sort of 500 or failing to make the playoffs. It's amazing. Like, how can a guy put up such amazing stats? And I know the answer to some of this is kind of a rhetorical question. And his teams, you either need to fire everyone that's ever been associated with Washington or Minnesota football because, man, if it wasn't for Kirk, like there's another one from a couple days ago that Kirk Cousins teams are 7-35 against teams that finish the season with a winning record.
Yeah, which dovetails perfectly with Zimmer's record as well.
Yep, and
Winning teams.
And Jay Gruden's record.
Yep.
As Washington coach.
Exactly right.
All three of them are bad against winning teams.
I think the thing about last year, so to take the context of the record that you're talking about right now with the passer rating above 90, I think what you look at it is this. I mean, Kirk Cousins got off to a bad start last year, but he came on starting after the bye week and played great. And that is literally where the defense was so bad that it absolutely killed them.
Yeah.
In the two games this year, I think he played well against the Bengals, probably could have done a bit more. But, on Sunday against Cardinals, they had the game won. They had the damn game won, and the kicker missed.
So what do you think it is, real quick, before we get to the 5 telling offensive stats of the two games? When you see, and we don't know if the Cardinals have to finish the season with a winning record before they ultimately get added to this list. Kirk did a good job on Sunday. Greg Joseph missed 2 short kicks.
Yeah.
The Vikings left 4 points on the board in a 1-point loss. Like, they should have won the game.
Yes.
So you can pick out individual examples where, all right, like that might count on this record. That's not really Kirk's fault. But over the course of 9 seasons, 6 as a full-time starter, this is his 7th, and 42 games against winning teams. And his team's record is 7-35, but he puts up all these gaudy numbers. Are people saying, well, those teams would actually be 0-42 if not for the greatness of Kirk? Like, Kirk's greatness elevated to 7 wins out of 42 because everything is so garbage around him, right? That's like when I see these stats, that's what I think. Like, are you insinuating that if it wasn't for him being a god at that position, that his teams would just lose every game because he's been the unluckiest quarterback in the history of the NFL, saddled with the worst defenses, the worst coaches, the worst offensive lines, the worst skill position players. Mm-hmm. And that's always the crossroads we get to with Kirk. And a lot of people, well, football's a team game. You can't put a win-loss record on a quarterback. Well, no. But if football is such a team game, then why are quarterbacks being paid such an ungodly percentage of the salary cap? If everything is all equal, then why in God's name would you pay a quarterback like $30 or $40 million if it's such a team game? It's a quarterback-driven game. Other things matter, but it's a quarterback-driven game.
I can't speak to Kirk's time in Washington because I didn't watch those games exclusively, so I don't know. But season by season here, I think it's pretty simple to break down. 2018 was a complete bust for Kirk. Like, he showed up here on a team that had been to the conference title game and was expected to be the final piece, and they missed the playoffs, and that last game was a debacle. So he takes responsibility there. 2019, they rebound, make the playoffs. And the Saints game, he played well. The San Francisco game was a complete dud. And The problem with that game, in my opinion, is this. The team played terrible, but Kirk did nothing in that game to lift the team up. 2020, Kirk was terrible for essentially 5 games and then was good, and the defense stunk. So I really think it's a season-by-season proposition, but I would go back to my biggest disappointment in Kirk and this team as a whole is 2018. Because there was potential there, and they bleeped the bed badly in that one.
Yep, and the defense had not eroded. Like, it wasn't the number one defense in the league, but it was still like a top 5-ish defense.
That not being a
NFL.
playoff team was inexcusable.
They started pretty hot, too, if I remember, didn't they?
They got off to a weird start. They were like 1 remember, because they had the tie, and they lost to the Rams. I think they were like 2-1, like through 4 or 5 games. It was kind of a wacky start, but then they got Kirktober happened, and they got hot.
And they beat that Bears team in the last game at home, a Bears team that had clinched its spot in the playoffs and had nothing to play for.
Yeah.
And they're in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep. So what an enigma, man. I mean, and he will continue to put up great stats, I think, this season as well. And there's a lot more built-in excuses or reasons for why they're not winning games. Like, I am not at all insinuating that he is a prime reason for blame. I have not included him at all in my pie chart of blame. Judd did in week 1.
I did in week 1, yeah.
He's not at all like to blame for the 0-2 start. But at some point, if they're going to dig out from underneath this, he's going to have to be a little more Herculean, and maybe it might have to be that, dude, you got to throw for 400 today or something if your defense doesn't pick it up. And that's the reality. And
the league feeling is that the great quarterbacks lift you up and win you games. That might not be fair. That's where the league is at.
Well, look at, here's an example from Sunday. The Cardinals defense was garbage in that game too, right? The Cardinals defense gave up 30-plus points and a barrage in the first half. Well, Kyler Murray, and again, I'm not blaming Cousins here. I'm just explaining the landscape of how the league works sometimes. Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray threw for 400 yards. and I think he accounted for 4 touchdowns and ran for a bunch of yards. It's like, sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to just figure out a way to rise up, overcome. However, your kicker needs to make a kick.
Yeah.
Just make a 37-yarder.
Yep.
And this conversation would be different.
And the state of the offense 2 games in is pretty damn good, I think.
Yep. And that's a good segue into 5 very telling offensive stats for the Minnesota Vikings through the first 2 weeks.
Nice.
Presented in part by our friends at PXG Minneapolis. All right, PXG is a golfer's paradise. They've been around for, I want to say, a couple years now in Southdale Center, and they've got you ready for fall golf, baby. They are here with some of the best clubs on the market, some of the best apparel. You want to look good while you're shooting a hundo?
Exactly, that's my favorite.
That's right.
I love the finger guns.
That is me.
Check them out, PXG Minneapolis and pxg.com/Minneapolis. Also, real quick, if you're on the hot seat, if you're Zimmer, you might be looking for employment. That's where PlayCon comes in. Minnesota's industrial leader in sustainable packaging, and they're looking for people to join their team. They offer a great culture, great opportunities, a 401k match. Oh, maybe you're a president of basketball operations looking for some new work.
Or your former president of basketball operations. Hi, I'm a former Pobo.
Hi.
What can I do now?
Well,
no, I didn't say hobo.
I said Pobo.
I said Pobo.
PlayCon has immediate openings for machine operators, packaging operators, and tool technicians with pay starting up to $20 an hour. And they'll be conducting on-site interviews from noon to 5 on Tuesday this upcoming week, September 28th, at their Plymouth facility. Find out more information at PlayCon. That's PLACON.com. All right, are you ready?
5.
For 5 telling offensive stats through 2 games.
Let's go.
Number 1, Kirk Cousins on play action. Incredible. 14 of 17, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 146.1 passer rating, which is second in the NFL among play action passes. That's ridiculous. The second play of the game was a play action 64-yard strike for a touchdown. Defense was fooled. KJ Osborne was wide open. Mm-hmm. The pass was obviously perfect. When he gets a chance to leverage play action, he is historically excellent. Kirk, without play action so far this year, his passer rating drops by almost 50 points. He's been fine. He hasn't been a disaster, but the difference between play action and no play action for Kirk is massive so far this year and historically in his career. The problem is the Vikings as a team rank 19th in play action attempts. So I just feel like they got to be a top 5. Why would you not be a top 5 play action attempt team? The threat of Dalvin, I get that they were playing from behind a lot in week 1, but it just feels like this is Kirk's thing. Play action is what he's excellent at. They should be hammering play action more often.
Can I take you guys what I like to call beyond the box score?
Ooh.
Wow.
Because Mike Zimmer was asked.
Did you invent
about
that phrase? It's crazy.
Just now.
Yeah.
We're gonna go beyond the box score.
That's right.
Football.
So Mike Zimmer was asked about this yesterday. Play action's been great, but you're not doing it as much as you used to. And I don't know if he was being cantankerous or truthful, but I'm going to take door 2 and say Mike basically said, I don't think we're doing it less.
What?
Mike Zimmer was asked about play action yesterday because of the stats that you just read. And I think if you compare the stats to last year, okay. I believe they are running, which, you've talked about now like 3 times, Phil. They're running less play action. It's still very successful. But yes, but Mike basically said, and Kirk was then asked in his press conference and acknowledged that they are doing less. My point being is this is the beyond the box score. This is the checked out nature of the coach potentially when it comes to the offense. He just didn't know.
I've got the numbers here, right? Pro Football Focus will help us out here. So this year, can one of you bust out your trusty phone calculator here? Can we do some math on the fly?
Sure, if you tell me exactly what it is.
17 divided by 2, which would be, I believe, an average of 8.5 per game. Okay, so 8.5 per game. Last year, maybe Zimmer's right. Last year, but also they weren't throwing enough even last year. Okay. They weren't not enough attempts, not enough play action. Some of this is offensive line predicated, but play action helps your offensive line. Your crappy pass blocking offensive line is better in play action, right?
Yep.
So last year, Cousins had 147 attempts, play action attempts in 16 games.
Divided by 16, 9.1.
So they're doing slightly less per game. We wanted them to do more per game. Yes. Even it might not seem like much, but I would say even like 2 more per game could open up a big play. It could be an extra touchdown 3 times a year.
Yes.
The top play action. One more for you, Dex.
All right.
Buffalo was the top play action team last year.
Okay.
The Buffalo. Nobody circles the wagons.
Buffalo Bills.
Maybe should be a Bills fan.
Football.
I would happily throw you through a flaming table if it meant you wearing chill
Get the
boys.
tables.
So Josh Allen had 198 play action attempts in 16 games. What's the math on that?
12.3.
So there. So the top play action team last year running 4 extra play actions compared to the Vikings rate so far this year. I think that's a lot. Like 3 or 4 extra play action passes, swapping out for runs, or you're playing right into Kirk's strength.
Right. And that's a great way to use Dalvin without using Dalvin. Play action. It's perfect.
Yep. Dalvin as a decoy, baby.
And like Boone said, and Alex is exactly right, and we've talked about this. 33 on the field in itself is an advantage, even if he doesn't touch the ball.
Yes, because they have to account for his existence.
Correct.
We've got to establish the run. But is Dalvin in the building?
I found
the run has been established.
I found it very interesting, though, that the head coach was like, I don't really think we're doing it less, which to me just shows.
He's if you round up, he's right, though. About 9 times a game.
Yeah, well, still less. Kirk acknowledges less.
It is a little bit less, and it needed to be more, I think, from
football.
The get-go. So. All right. The second telling offensive stat here on our State of the Vikings offense Thursday. Deep passing. The Vikings offense has attempted only 6 deep passes so far this year, and that's 20-plus yards in the air, ball traveling in the air.
Okay.
That ranks 20th in the NFL.
Okay.
They are 2 for 6 on those deep passes for 91 yards and a touchdown, so almost all of it coming on the KJ Osborne touchdown. So if you take away the KJ Osborne touchdown, they are 1 for 5 for like 27 yards on deep passes, 20 yards or more. Now, is that Kirk doesn't have enough time to attempt more? Are they not calling more? Is he checking down when there's You could thread the needle, but I don't know. I don't want to throw an interception in this spot, so I'm going to check down to Amir Abdullah, on 3rd and 7. I would be curious. I just think, conceptually, I love this team taking more shots down the field, off play action, take some risks. If you have to throw an interception once in a while, I can live with that. Raise the ceiling on this offense as opposed to being obsessed about protecting the floor. Like, you don't have to turn the ball over 6 times a game. Like, just mix in some more play action deep passes is all I'm asking for. What do you guys think?
I guess off of what you said, I'm curious about the protection time, because deep shots are predicated on, being back in the pocket and clearly having time to throw.
I'm glad you asked.
And if you don't have time to throw, but I will say this. My Spidey senses tell me they did a good job in week 2 at Arizona of Kirk getting rid of the ball quicker than he normally does, which probably cuts down on deep passes, but also gets the ball out.
Yeah.
It also feels like both those things should be married together, right? If you're taking more play action passes, you should be able then to set up more deep throws down the field. Like, I don't want to call myself a Kevin Stefanski or anything, but it seems like if you were able to do those two things, that you'd be able to accomplish it more if you ran them more.
You suck them up to beat them deep, Dex.
Yeah, take the ball deep to top off the defense.
Suck them up, suck the defenders up.
You guys want to know who's leading the NFL in deep pass attempts so far this year?
The Denver Broncos.
2 gloves Teddy. It's not going well. He's 4 of 13. Well, he's 4 of 13 for 130 yards. So he has 4 completions for 130 yards, an average of whatever that is.
Shoot your shot. Literally, the definition right there of shooting your shot.
His protection must be decent then.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into the third telling stat. All right. So you asked about essentially pass protection, right? Yep. So ESPN.com came up with something 3 years ago called pass block win rate. They have team and individual pass block win rate. They have run block win rate, and then they have the other side, pass rush win rate, etc. Mm-hmm. And it's described as this: ESPN's pass rush win rate metric tells us how often a pass rusher is able to beat his block within 2.5 seconds.
Okay.
Likewise, our pass block win rate metric conveys the rate linemen can sustain their blocks for 2.5 seconds or longer. And the reason why, as they write, that this is a better measurement than pressures is because a pressure could be for any number of things. If you hold onto the ball for 5 seconds because the coverage is amazing and then you get pressured, that's not the offensive line's fault.
Right.
Or if you eject from the pocket and roll your way out to the right and a linebacker chases you down, like, that's not necessarily.
I got to check in the pocket. Hold it up, court.
So they're trying to boil it down to, forget about anything else that happens. How many times was the offensive line able to thwart a pass rusher for 2.5 seconds or more? So the entire line protecting. And the Vikings rank 22nd in the NFL as a unit with pass block win rate. They win 52% of the time. So about half the time, somebody is getting through to some extent. Doesn't mean it's like a free runner, but someone is getting through about half the time to make Kirk throw quicker or move or something.
Which feels like in the Bengals game, it was far more of a problem than it was against the Cardinals.
I think that's right. I only have the first 2 games collectively, but I think you're right on that. Now, if you're wondering, okay, what's the goal here? What are the top teams doing? The top pass blocking offensive lines are winning 78% of the time, Browns, 74% of the time, Eagles, and then 68% of the time, Rams and Niners. So, the Vikings have some work to do. And, that's a big deal. Think about, every 10 dropbacks, if you have a clean pocket for 2.5 seconds, half the time versus 2 or 3 extra times, maybe that's an extra big completion or 2. 20-second isn't a total train wreck, but it's not ideal.
Right.
I don't have where the Cardinals are because I closed out the window.
Okay.
Or the Broncos. I'm sorry. You want to know where the Broncos are?
Denver Broncos.
Run block win rate. All right, this is the 4th telling offensive stat here. Run block win rate as a team. The Vikings rank 7th. They win 75% of the time. in the run blocking game.
Okay.
So it's about what we would expect, where they're pretty damn good at run blocking, and they still struggle at keeping the pocket clean enough on a regular basis. And then I'll give you this last one that we can discuss more. The Vikings offense on third down. This is a big one here. They are 31st in the NFL at third down conversion rate. 30% conversion rate on third down. Some of it's pressure, like the opposing team knows you're going to pass. Pass block win rate probably goes down. The best teams, by the way, are over 50% through the first 2 weeks. Another thing is Kirk is really good in play action. Kirk is really good when there's some deception involved, and you can keep the defense on its heels. When the defense knows Kirk is going to pass, it's harder for him. It just is. Statistically, he's not as mobile. Offensive line's not going to help him as much. So I think that's a big thing. Like, part of the reason why you pay your quarterback is to rise above on 3rd and 7. So he needs to be better at that despite some circumstances around him. Otherwise, what's the point in paying him? But as a team, they just are not good on third down through the first 2 games.
And the Bengals game, they were in 3rd and long all the time, which is damn hard. So I feel like, at least in that first game, that they rarely put themselves in a position on 3rd down to win. And so that's why it's frustrating. And this is not on Kirk. That's why it's so frustrating on 2nd and whatever, when every time they insist on being so predictable. Like, put yourself in 3rd and 2. Dalvin can get that then, right?
Yeah.
Instead of 3rd and 7 when you throw a short pass or something. I go back to the first 3rd down. I think it was in the Cardinals game on Sunday, and they attempted to pass to Conklin that was, I think, tipped or something like that. And it's like, but you're not putting yourself in the right position to try and win on 3rd down. I feel like their 3rd down struggles are really predicated on the fact that their 2nd down approach is suspect.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah,
Not all the time.
they tend to be. That's another one. I'll dig that up for next week. What's their run pass split on 2nd and long compared to last year, where they were very, very conservative.
And their run and the same split on 1st down is run, pass, run. That
first half play calling is a lot of run compared to the rest of the league too, statistically.
Do I feel that the Vikings do a great job offensively of putting their quarterback and skill position guys in an opportunity to win on downs? No, I don't.
Yeah. So those are your 5 telling offensive stats here through the first 2 weeks. State of the Vikings offense, and I think we should cheers a Surly, Judd, to the play action pass success they've had. Just do some more of it.
Exactly right.
14 of 17.
I got a little game for you folks at home. I got a little game for you on Sunday.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Surly.
When you see play action, which I'm pretty sure because Zim and Clint love this show, when you see them run those additional play actions, I want you to take a swig of your Surly that I know you're going to go out and buy tonight, because we're headed into Thursday Night Football, a weekend of football. And you know what you can buy? Surly Furious, the best IPA around. Surly Furious is fantastic. It's the IPA that revolutionized Minnesota craft beer. Don't settle, get Surly. And cheers, play action. That's right. Yeah. The new Mackey and Judd game. We're not just going to say cheers a win. Cheers a touchdown.
Cheers to process.
Cheers football.
Also, hey, Vikings fans. So, couple scratch game tickets. The Minnesota Lottery is offering up 2 Vikings scratch game tickets. A $5 ticket that can win you up to $100,000. $2 ticket, the Skull game, win you up to $15,000. Second chance prizes like Vikings tickets and merchandise. Just say, I'm into Vikings scratch games from the Minnesota Lottery. You must be 18 or older to play.
Hey, statistical request for next week's 5 telling stats in the state of the Vikings offense. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins, how quickly he's getting the ball out. Okay. Is that possible?
I think so.
For next week.
For next week.
So Cousins,
it doesn't have to be right now.
Ball out. I just want to make sure I don't forget here.
It feels like week 2 they did a much better job of getting the ball out.
Okay. I'll also mark down situational play calling, 2nd and long, stuff like that.
Love it.
Okay, it is Thursday, which means it's time for the random Viking of the week here.
Here we go, Declan.
Boy.
On Purple Daily. And no, it is not Alex Boone again. He'll join us again.
Which we didn't have a winner because he was there, and
we all knew.
It was sort of an inside job.
Yeah, and by the way, the feedback on that episode was awesome, and I think when he was on Score North and Purple Daily a couple years back, and a lot of you guys are new to the show in the last couple years, it was a little split in that people were still pissed about him underperforming, quote unquote, as a Viking, and he was a loudmouth and this, and he's been a great dude behind the scenes. He's super entertaining, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with him, and we appreciate the positive response from the Alex Spoon episode last Tuesday.
I feel the demo has changed. I mean, that's just me. Call me crazy.
Probably is. A lot of AM radio listeners a couple years ago, and
or Judd's
people that are just old, chiseled Vikings fans. All right, here's the random Viking of the week. I'm going to give you a series of clues. I will unveil them one by one. You guys get 3 incorrect guesses each, so don't be shy about guessing.
Okay.
To this point, Judd Zulgad is on a 6-name winning streak. Sorry, 7 actually.
Okay.
A 7-name winning streak over Declan. You're up 7-1. Mm-hmm. So Declan, this is your time to shine, and it's not Aaron Henderson again.
Okay, good to know.
You can ask me questions. I can say no if I want to. This random Viking of the week hails from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and stands at 6'3", 210 pounds. This random Viking of the week played for 3 other teams besides the Vikings in his National Football League career.
I have no clue so far. No, I was just going to say I have no clue so far.
He's going to guess.
I've got a height, a weight, a birthplace, and 3 teams I don't know.
All right, this random Viking of the week played at I'm going to say a small-time college football school. Not a Power 5, not an FBS. I think it's FCS. Could even be Division 2.
Would giving us the school give it away?
Maybe, and I might give you the school shortly here.
Don't know if you don't ask.
Terrible with college football, so.
This random Viking of the week, the team that drafted him wanted him to switch positions, but he said no, and then they traded him a short while later.
Rich Gannon.
Wow. Wow, dude.
Delaware.
Dude.
The Patriots drafted him and wanted to move him to
running back. Yeah.
Yep. And
that's amazing, dude. Declan, how do you feel right now?
It's not Declan's fault.
We need a coaching change. We need a lot of things to happen to this organization.
Jaguars, pep up, man.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's the second most impressive win after my only win.
Full disclosure, in my youth doing freelance feature pieces on players for Bob Lertzema's Viking Update, I did a thing on Rich Gannon.
Yeah. Wow.
And I talked to him about the fact this is circa 91. I talked to him about this. So,
and he came in the league in like 86, 87. He was a 4th round pick.
And
Delaware.
the Patriots wanted to move him, and he said no, and so they traded him to the Vikings.
You want my other clues just for fun?
Sure.
Yeah.
He once missed a full season due to injury at age 29. It was a shoulder, but came back stronger than ever.
Yep.
4th round draft pick. He carved out a nice little media career.
Yeah.
His age 37 season was his best. He's a former, and I would say current. We didn't break up. He's a friend of the show. He used to be a regular guest a couple different times.
You guys were the best.
Mikey and Judd. And you would end every single interview with "You guys are the best." And
you guys are the best.
It made us feel great, and he probably
so
said
we found out everybody else was the best.
He was probably doing 15 hits around the country, and everyone was the best. But you know what? In that moment, we were the best. Because Rich told us you guys are the best.
Some guys in Nebraska, you're the best.
He was a boss that year in 2002.
He won the MVP.
Fantastic.
That was the Tommy Tuck rule, wasn't it? That the infamous Tom Brady in.
That was the previous year. That was 01.
Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me. And then the Raiders came back the next year, 02, went to the Super Bowl with Rich Gannon, and they got smoked by
that's right. Yeah.
the Buccaneers.
Brad Johnson of the Buccaneers because of the defense.
Woof.
Yep. So, he really, he was great, but he didn't start becoming great till he was about 33 years old, 32, 33.
Yeah, I don't think he when he left here had lots of good things to say. I think he went to the Chiefs next.
Yeah.
But the Vikings,
Washington, then
the
Chiefs.
and then the Chiefs. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't end real well here though with him and Denny, I don't think.
Hey, thanks to our friends as well at Federated. They helped power that random Viking of the Week performance by Judd there. So Federated helps with risk management. If you're a business owner, they put a focus on risk management and training to help positively impact your bottom line. And they've got all kinds of resources and people that can help you. So take a look at federatedinsurance.com to find out more. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. All right, that is a wrap. We're getting real close to Vikings and Seahawks.
We got Sunday. Keys tomorrow. Keys are done. Keys are in
Judd's
the house.
Keys on Mackey and Judd. We'll have 4-Question Friday on Purple Daily. There it is. Listen, Judd's Keys. If you're missing out on Judd's Keys, go check out Mackey and Judd on Friday.
Listen to that. That's a Dex got.
Also, I've been invited behind enemy lines tomorrow. Actually, we might have to change our little schedule here because the Seahawks flagship 710 ESPN wants to break it all down.
Is that Cairo?
Tomorrow. I think that's their call letters.
KIRO?
I think so, yeah.
You're listening to Seahawks football.
It'll be 10:30 a.m. Central Time on 710 ESPN if you guys want to hear me do some serious Vikings breakdowns with Seahawks fans.
That's fine. Shirk your responsibilities to the podcast so you can appear throughout the greater Seattle metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. That's fine. We get it. Dex and I know.
Listen, if the Vikings lose, then I think it's going to be Seahawks Daily with Mackey, Judd.
Mackey. Monday. Yep. It's time for Kraken Daily.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Daily Vikings Entertainment presented by Surly Brewing Company. Purple Daily. See you guys.